experts are now forecasting that $3,500 an ounce could be the new milestone for gold prices.
Ukraine's reported drone attacks by Russia after a temporary Easter truce. Both Russia and Ukraine had accused each other of violating the ceasefire while it was in force. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
From the studios of Extreme Sports in Hastings, Nebraska, we present Huddle Up, a great way to start your day with all the news, weather, and sports you need, interesting interviews, and friendly conversation from two guys that go together like Scooby and Shaggy, Mike Will and Tyson Havronic.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Huddle Up here on Extreme Sports, and welcome to a Monday, the 21st day of April for 2025. Off we go. Mike Will, Tyson Havronic with all of your news, weather, and sports to get you up, get you going here this morning. Going to be talking about the Nebraska baseball team. They won their series against Northwestern over the weekend. The Nebraska softball team splitting their short two-game series against Indiana. Hastings College baseball team dropping a couple of games to Mount Marty on Friday. They prepare for their final four games of the regular season against Doane this weekend. Hastings College softball team getting ready for a big week. They get action on Wednesday against Midland, and they'll finish things off with a couple of games against Doane on Saturday. The 2025 GPAC Men's Golf Championship will get underway today at the Beatrice Country Club. And we've got some high school baseball today with Hastings High taking on Grand Island. The Tigers were on the field over the weekend, beat Blair on Saturday 13-0. Had a five-inning no-hitter thrown by the Tigers, and Carlos Jimenez also had an inside the park a home run in that ball game from Elliot Sidlow. So we'll tell you about that coming up. Hastings High soccer teams begin play today in the Eastern Midlands Conference tournament. NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs getting started over the weekend. So a lot to talk about here today as we get you started here on this Monday morning as we welcome in Tyson Havronic from the Western Studios. Good morning.
And a good morning to you, Mike, as we wake up here on this Monday morning. Happy Easter. Belated Happy Easter to you. I saw you got the fam together over the weekend. Have a good Easter holiday?
Oh, yeah. Nice little Easter. We'll get together, had a little cookout for our Easter, and then we roll on. Roll on. So
did the same. Did the Easter ham? Did the cheesy potatoes? Did the green beans?
Oh,
what
you
else
had
did we throw on there?
You went all out.
Oh yeah. We did it well. We did it. I mean, it was you spend all day cooking, you spend about 2 minutes devouring, and then you spend the next 2 hours taking a nap. And that was my Easter holiday.
That sounds like it.
It was very reminiscent to the Thanksgiving holidays. We have three big holidays that we do food on, three big cookouts: Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving. So yeah, we did work.
It's basically the same. You prepare all week long, planning and preparing. The wives and obviously your mom was probably in the kitchen all day long. Preparing the meal, and then you sit down, devour it, and then it's it. That's all. Happy Easter, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas, everybody. Now get out of here.
Little different on the fam side of things. Like, Dad's the one that spends all the time watching the Food Network shows. So really? he tries to take the Food Network and then kind of duplicate that in the kitchen.
Yeah.
He's a big fan. He loves to cook. So he's the one that's in the kitchen. He's the one that took care of the ham, the cheesy potatoes, and I was able to do green beans.
I was going to say, do you assist in the meal preparation?
Yeah, I put green beans on the stove and turned it on. Felt that was my contribution to the...
You can't screw that up very much. Throw the green beans in there.
No.
However, you can doctor up the green beans. Just don't throw them in the old...
I did doctor them up a little bit after the fact. So, we had this running cheese from, the cheesy potatoes.
Yeah.
Like a little sauce base. And I used that cheese sauce on them and sprinkled them over the top of the taters.
Oh, that's all right.
Right?
That's all right.
Good plan.
All right, so Easter in the books. What's next? Let's see, it's May.
What, Independence? No, Memorial Day would be
Memorial
next.
Day.
Yep. Then
Mother's Day. Mother's Day's in May.
Oh yeah, shoot! Don't forget that.
Don't forget that. Don't forget that Mother's Day.
Did it once that I'd never live it down.
Mother's Day and Memorial Day for the month of May. So
yeah,
hopefully the summer activities get started here soon.
If it wasn't like cold and rainy on the weekends.
That's what I mean. The summer activities got to get going here.
I know.
Like I said, I was thinking about maybe going to the lake and getting the summer season started last weekend, but it was crappy. It was crappy. Rain most of the day on Sunday.
And it's gorgeous Monday through Friday, right?
Yeah,
like Monday through Thursday afternoon, absolutely beautiful. You finally get set for the weekend, and it's crap. It's cold, too.
I think it's going to be warming up this week, so maybe this is the start of things here.
Come on, Timmy. Give me a good weather forecast today.
Anyway, we got lots of stuff to talk about here today on Huddle Up. Again, you can join us anytime. 402-834-1330 is our telephone number. 402-834-1330. You want to chime in on something we're talking about or something on your mind, sports related or not, give us a shout out. You can always leave us a message on one of the social media sites. We're monitoring that as well. Going to be talking with Matt Franzen, the head football coach at Hastings College. We're going to hear some comments from him as the Broncos wrapped up their spring workouts on Friday with a scrimmage out at Lloyd Wilson Field. We'll talk about that. Plus, Matt Rule is going to join us, kind of like the Matt and Matt show here today, along with Mike and Tyson. Matt Rule will join us. The Huskers preparing for their final week of spring football practice in Lincoln. And Coach kind of throws a whammy at us over the weekend. Remember, we weren't going to have a spring game. We're going to have no live contact. Mm-hmm. But now he's decided that we're going to have live contact with the guys on down the depth charts, the guys that might not make the 105-player roster we've been talking about. He's going to allow those guys to go out and get some film, get some hits, get some playing time, just in case they need it. So it's kind of a different twist. They weren't going to have any live action for the Husker games coming up on this Saturday. Now they are. But you won't see any of the frontliners. Sure. None of the frontliners are going to play. It's basically the guys that are in risk of not making the 105-player roster. They're gonna play a little bit so they can get some tape and send them out to different schools in their pursuit of playing this year. Or guys that are challenging maybe on the two deep, they're number twos, and they think they might be able to battle to the number one spot. So those guys are going to see a little bit of playing time, but don't expect any of the starters to see any playing time. There will be no TV, no nothing for this weekend, but you are going to see some live football if you're heading down to the Husker games on Saturday.
It's been wild trying to navigate everything that's been going on with the college football universe. I didn't hear boo last week about the 105 roster limit. I know we were kind of holding off on news until we got some news on that.
They didn't get anything because they decided to stay at 105. Wow. That's why Matt Rule all of a sudden has decided that he owes it to the guys that might not make the 105 to play a little bit on Saturday and to get their final tapes. That might be the last time they walk out on the Memorial Stadium on this Saturday. So he decided at the last minute last week to knock on a Friday afternoon or Friday morning or whatever after our show that we're going to have a live contact next week for the Husker game. So that's what's coming up. Yeah, they kept the limit at 105. That's what they did. That's why we didn't hear anything. They thought it was going to be grandfathered in to maybe have more players on the roster at the beginning of next year. Now it's going to stay at 105. So we've got some. So
there's a bunch of programs with work to do.
Oh yeah, we've got some issues for this week. So they're going to maneuver through that. And, so anyway, we'll have some comments from the coach coming up as he deals with his final week of spring football practice coming up this week. So that's what's on the agenda today. Full plate for a Monday. Going to have some high school baseball later on. Hastings High was on the diamond on Saturday. Game we had here on Extreme Sports. It was all Tigers. They beat Blair by the score of 13-0. To improve to 9-6 on the season. Carlos Jimenez threw a 5-inning no-hitter in the ball game for the Tigers. He struck out 5, walked 1. Elliot Sidlow had an inside the park home run, hit one to the wall at 405 feet away out in left center. He circles the bases. Inside the park home run, first home run of the season for Hastings High. So the Tigers, as I mentioned, now 9-6 on the season. Tough one today against the Grand Island. The Islanders, a Class A opponent, they are 10-5 on the season. They swept a couple of games from North Platte on Friday, 9-7 and 12-3. So the action gets underway today at 4:30 out at Duncan. We'll have the game here on Extreme Sports, beginning with a pregame at about 4:15. So some good high school baseball coming up today. Hastings and Grand Island. We'll have the game here on Extreme Sports.
And that just builds up the rivalry all summer long. You know, those Grand Island teams that Kirby has over there at Grand Island Senior High, and they're kind of a conglomeration effort, unlike what we have down here in Hastings. They get Northwest kids, they get Central Catholic kids, and their senior high kids as well that can come over and play a little ball, and then they combine for the Legion side of things, and that just kind of sets the stage and gets you ready for what should be an exciting year for Legion ball. Hastings Grand Island, every time they get together, always a classic. So you should have a good one on tap. Grand Island, good ball club, well coached, and always present a challenge to the Tigers.
Again, 4:15 airtime this afternoon from Duncan. 4:30 for the first pitch. The Hastings High soccer teams are going to be playing in their Eastern Midlands Conference tournament beginning today. Of course, the boys, they're undefeated on the year. They're 10-0. They're the number 1 seed here in soccer for the Eastern Midlands Conference tournament. They'll open things up against Gretna East today at 5 o'clock at Hastings College. Meanwhile, the girls, they're going to play at Elkhorn North today, beginning at 5:30. So we had baseball last week for the Eastern Midlands Conference tournaments, and now we got soccer this week. Hastings High, the number 1 seed for boys, will open up at home against Gretna East. Gretna East at 5 o'clock this afternoon. They'll play the game at Hastings College. So that's what's going on for high school sports for Hastings High. Adams Central baseball team, they're going to play tomorrow against Centennial out at Duncan Field. That will be at 4:30. Another game we'll have on Extreme Sports beginning at 4:15 tomorrow afternoon. All right, let's get to the NBA stuff, NHL stuff.
Sure.
NBA playoffs underway this weekend. Yesterday, we saw Oklahoma City beat Memphis 131-80. Yeah, a 51-point win for Oklahoma City over Memphis.
Ouch.
Golden State got by Houston 95-85. Boston defeated Orlando 103-86. And Cleveland knocked off Miami 121-100. So Oklahoma City, Golden State, Boston, and Cleveland lead their respective series now 1-0. Tonight, you get Detroit playing at New York, and the Los Angeles Clippers play at Denver. New York and Denver lead their series 1-0.
I think everything I've heard from people that watch the NBA and people that enjoy the basketball side of things is it's basically Oklahoma City's to lose. They're apparently a just powerhouse team. You know, you throw in LA just because of the LA star factors over there, but from everything I've heard, it's OKC's to lose. And certainly that 51-point spread in the opening round game, that's kind of reflected upon that. And so, crazy stuff. On the NBA side of things, that's a crazy scoreline, a 51-point spread in a playoff game. But the NHL side wasn't much better. There was some, I would say, score lines that were not really competitive for enjoyable playoff hockey. The Avalanche, they cruised. They are definitely the favorites in the Western Conference right now. I think them in Vegas are kind of a 50-50 toss-up. Avalanche cruised in their 5-1 win Saturday against the Dallas Stars. The Winnipeg Jets were able to knock off the St. Louis Blues. Blues had a lead in the third period, and then they surrendered a goal and then a couple empty net goals there at the end. That lifted Winnipeg up and over St. Louis. And then yesterday, kind of a similar story across the NHL just in terms of some wide margins on the score lines. Carolina comes out and they flexed a little bit. I've always loved Carolina and Coach Brindamar and what he does to the Hurricanes. They're able to pick up the 4-1 winner. The Leafs look strong, which, God, I hate that. Toronto is one of those teams you just love to hate because they're a buyer's market kind of team.
I was going to say, why do you hate Toronto?
If they're as a big name free agent, Toronto likes to spend a lot of cash and they like to bring a lot of people in. And much like I think Dallas is America's team, Toronto kind of has that title of being Canada's team. And so you just kind of love to hate them because they get all this star power, and then they've historically collapsed in the playoffs. So they're kind of fun to watch, just traditionally do that. But they flexed against Ottawa in that 6-2 victory. A lot of Canadian flavor, by the way, in the NHL playoffs this year, which is vastly different from the past couple seasons. Then you had the Vegas Knights. They beat up on Minnesota 4-2. Pretty competitive, I think, in the early goings for Minnesota in that, and that was a late game, so I did not put eyeballs towards the end. I was out by the end of the first period. I had to wake up and one this morning. So, Vegas is able to hold off. That started at 9 o'clock last night. That was one of those 9 p.m. out west in Vegas start times, puck drops. So, setting the stage for tonight, the Blues back in action. They'll be on ESPN2 in game number 2 against the Winnipeg Jets. Also getting underway tonight, the Canadiens and Capitals will be getting their first matchup. Capitals, Alex Ovechkin, of course, we talked about his story, leading goal scorer of all time in the NHL, and is set to host the Habs, Montreal Canadiens. The Capitals certainly the favorite there. Stars Avs get set for game 2. That'll get underway at 8:30, and then another 9 o'clock puck drop that I won't be up for. The LA Kings and Oilers will get their series underway today.
All right, so it brings you up to date on the NBA playoffs and the NHL playoffs. We don't normally talk about a lot of NBA and NHL during the regular season, but it's playoff time, and we'll keep you up to date each and every day here on Huddle Up because a lot of people, it's playoff time.
I like how we split that too.
Well, they only start watching the NBA and the NHL right about now.
I don't doubt it. Yeah, I don't doubt it.
All right, so you're waking up with Mike and Tyson here this morning. It's a Monday. Again, plenty of stuff coming up here. We're going to be talking some Nebraska football, some Hastings College football here shortly. It's 7:17. Let's get our first update on news, shall we?
It's time for a morning news update on Extreme Sports.
We'll start first with news that is affecting the entire globe. Pope Francis passing away early this morning at the age of 88. He was the first pope from the Americas and the first non-European pope in over a millennium. His papacy, which began in 2013, was marked by a commitment to humility, social justice, and interfaith dialogue. Plans as of this morning are that Governor Jim Pillen will be in town to present the city with an award from the Nebraska Economic Department of Development. The presentation will begin at 9 a.m. at the Hastings College Morrison Reeves Science Center. U.S. Senator Pete Ricketts announcing 3 town hall events this week across Nebraska, including a town hall in Kearney. Senator Ricketts will give an update on his work in Washington, D.C., and then will answer questions directly from Nebraskans. The town hall in Kearney takes place at the Eunice Conference Center South Crystal Ballroom and begins at 11 this Thursday. Not only was this weekend Easter weekend, but for Nebraska State Patrol, they were also on the lookout for drug-impaired drivers due to April 20th falling on Easter Sunday. The Nebraska State Patrol joined law enforcement agencies from across the country in drug-impaired driving enforcement mobilization this past weekend. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration reports that the prevalence of drug-impaired driving has increased across the country, and in Nebraska, troopers have made an average of 80 arrests for driving under the influence of drugs in the last 3 years. And the National Weather Service office in Omaha has completed their damage assessment survey and this weekend announced that the tornado that touched down north of Omaha near Bennington on Thursday night was rated as an F3 with winds of up to 140 miles per hour. The twister, one of 6, reported in eastern Nebraska and western Iowa on Thursday night, the tornado damaging several homes and other buildings. It's coming up on 7:20. Let's kick it back over to the East Side Studios. Mike, what's the haps in sports?
Well, the Nebraska baseball team won their series against Northwestern this weekend. The Huskers lost the first game on Friday night 9-7, but then swept a doubleheader on Saturday 14-4 and 5-2. Nebraska now 19-21 in the season, 7-11 in the conference. They'll play host to Kansas on Tuesday. First pitch will be at 6. The Nebraska softball team split their short 2-game series against Indiana this weekend. The Hoosiers won 6-2 on Friday before the Huskers came back to pick up a 12-4 win on Saturday. Nebraska now 33-11. They're 12-4 in the conference. They'll play a 3-game series at Washington coming up this weekend. Hastings College baseball team dropped a pair of games to Mount Marty on Friday, losing 17-14 and 12-8. The Broncos are now 8-30 on the season, 5-19 in the conference. They'll play a 4-game series at Doane coming up this weekend. Hastings College softball team had the weekend off. The Broncos will play a doubleheader at Midland on Wednesday. Hastings is currently tied with Dordt for the 8th and final playoff spot for the postseason conference tournament. Game time on Wednesday will be at 4 o'clock. Hastings will wrap up the regular season on Saturday with a doubleheader against Doane out at the Smith Complex. Action gets underway at 1. We'll have the games on Extreme Sports beginning with a pregame show at 12:45. UNK softball team dropped a pair of games to Missouri Southern on Friday, 4-3 and 3-1. The Lopers will close out the regular season on Saturday at Fort Hays State. The 2025 GPAC Men's Golf Championship will be played this week at the Beatrice Country Club. Action gets underway at 8:30 this morning. Northwestern is the defending champion. Jackson Levin of Northwestern won the individual championship in 2024. High school baseball action today. Hastings High will host Grand Island out at Duncan Field. The Tigers are 9-6 on the season after Saturday's 13-0 win over Blair. Carlos Jimenez threw a 5-inning no-hitter for the Tigers. He struck out 5, walked 1. Elliott Sidlow had an inside-the-park home run. Grand Island is currently 10-5 on the season after sweeping a pair of games from North Platte on Friday, 9-7 and 12-3. Today's game gets underway at 4:30. Pre-game show begins at 4:15 here on Extreme Sports. Hastings High soccer teams will play in the Eastern Midlands Conference Tournament today. The boys will play Elkhorn North beginning at 5:30. Rather, the girls will play at Elkhorn North beginning at 5:30 today. The boys will host Gretna East beginning at 5 this afternoon at Hastings College. That's a check on your sports headlines. Now 7:22 on Extreme Sports.
It's time for a morning weather update on Extreme Sports with Chief Meteorologist Tim Jones.
As we head back to work and school, it'll be sunny as we get through the morning and the afternoon hours, but the winds will increase and the temperatures will rebound. Hey, everybody, Tim Jones, Nebraska Weather TV. 78's the high today. We'll have the winds from light and variable this morning. Increase out of the south-southwest to 10 to 15 with gusts in the mid-20s. Overnight tonight, low of 48, a chance of showers and thunderstorms. Tuesday, mostly sunny, a high of 75. Chances of showers and thunderstorms Tuesday night to Wednesday with the high of 73.
Right now, south winds at 5 miles per hour. It's 37 degrees in Hastings at Extreme Sports.
Accessible and affordable holistic care is just around the corner at Bamboo Spa and Wellness Center. Located at 208 South Burlington Avenue, Suite 101 in Hastings. At Bamboo Spa, we offer a range of therapies to help you unwind and recharge. Experience soothing massages, rejuvenating head spa scalp treatments, and our Advanced Glow 2 facials. Discover the healing power of ozone therapy and frequency healing. Become a member for exclusive 24-hour access to our therapeutic amenities, including the infrared sauna, hydro massage, and cryo lounge. Members enjoy 20% off all services and 10% off products in our non-toxic retail shop. Visit our Facebook page to learn more and book your appointment today. Bamboo Spa and Wellness Center, truly holistic care, designed for you.
I'm John Butler, funeral director and owner at Livingston Butler Volland Funeral Home and Cremation Center in Hastings.
And I'm Nikki Butler, the advanced funeral planning specialist. Whether you choose a traditional service, cremation, or a unique memorial service, our experienced staff is here to help guide you through every step. Visit us at lbvfh.com to learn more about our services and how we can support you.
Livingston Butler Volland Funeral Home and Cremation Center. We are here when your need is greatest.
Hamilton has been providing IT solutions for businesses across the state of Nebraska for more than 3 decades. We know that Nebraska businesses are a driving force of support for the communities in which we live and work. We keep them connected and protected by delivering cybersecurity, hosted phones, and managed IT. We are grateful to be part of our Nebraska communities and to support their technology needs.
More information at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Get ready for the ultimate trivia experience with Extreme Sports Trivia. Play from anywhere at home, on the go, or at your favorite bar or restaurant. Compete live against players from all over in real time, answering questions across categories like sports, pop culture, Marvel, and more. Want to see how you stack up? Track your progress with live leaderboards and aim for the top spot. It's free, fun, and super easy to play. So what are you waiting for? Sign up today at extremesports.com trivia and start playing now. And keep an eye out. We're coming soon to a bar or restaurant near you.
All right, Mike Will, Tyson O'Brien with you on this Monday, 21st day, 21st day of April. Just make sure everything is set in the right mode here.
Yeah.
Anyway, 7:25, waking up with Mike and Tyson here today. We can talk some football if you'd like.
Let's do that.
We got Matt Rule, Matt Franzen, kind of the Matt and Matt show, joining us here today. Matt Rule, before us last Friday, first of all, he started things off talking about Jack McAllister. He's the punter that came to, he was the punter that came from Washington to Nebraska back in January. And now Jack McAllister has entered the transfer portal again. And the coach opened up his little press briefing talking about Jack McAllister.
This is an amazing young man who committed to us, and had the team mentality to stay with Washington through their bowl game. And they came to us. And then as we made a coaching change, and I know everybody loves coaching changes, like the fix is always to bring someone new in, there's always collateral damage. And Coach Eckler's done a wonderful job, and he strongly believes in utilizing the college rules, which are different than the NFL rules, in which guys can get down the field. And so we will be more of a rugby punt team. And so throughout the course of the spring, we've both rugbyed and done traditional punt. Traditional punt is what Jack's great at. He's an excellent player that we hope has a chance at the next level. And so when we met with him on Thursday, when first Coach Eckler and then myself met with him on Thursday, we let him know that, hey, we would be moving in that direction, away from what he's good at. And while we offered him he certainly can stay, it's probably in his best interest to go and find something that's schematically what he does. So, he asked if he could continue to stay and be at practice because he wants to finish what he started, which is just the caliber of person we're talking about. He was out there today. But I know he posted something on social media, and I know immediately when that happens, normally there's, hey, why would you ever want to leave here? And so I just want to be very clear that this is a young man who I feel terrible about the circumstances. When I met with him, he was so professional, so, obviously deeply disappointed. As he said, Coach, I'd love to stay here. I love the culture. I love everything that I'm experiencing, but I feel like I probably need to go look for something. I told him I don't know if I would have handled it as well as he handled it. And so I don't feel good about how it happened. I don't feel good about the situation. I don't feel good about it, but it is what's in the best interest of us moving forward, schematically and special teams wise. And he obviously, if he doesn't find something, I told him we'd love to have him back. We'd love to honor all the commitments we made to him. But this is a separate situation. So, we want to do right by guys. As I tell them, I'll tell you the truth all the time. I don't want to. I don't mind disappointing you, but I hate to have you say you lied to me. It's better that he knows now than in the fall. And so once that decision was made by Coach Eckler and stamped by me, we're going to move in that direction. So I just wanted to make that very clear, that he's not a kid that deserves anything other than, I hope Bryant, Vivian, Leona grow up to have the type of character in the face of adversity that he had. So, and I want to make sure I certainly address the fact that I hate the way it happened for us timing-wise and the way that, we transitioned. So in football, you're going to change your scheme, but this is completely away from what he would be able to do.
So there's a little news for you. We're going to go to a rugby style of kicker for as far as the punter is concerned. Beginning with this season, we expect to bring in maybe some candidates to be our punter sometime during the summer. But the coach said moving to the rugby style of kicking for punting is a no-brainer.
Such a unique difference between the pro and college games in terms of what you're allowed to do. You know, in the pros, you can't pass the line of scrimmage until the ball is kicked. So you have to have all these big guys. And in college, you can move down the field, but to do that, run down the field when the ball's snapped. But to do that, you have to have, you know, a moving launch point. So when you look back to last year, especially as we've talked about the wins here, especially as we talk about the different unique situations that are here, to us, a rugby-style kick takes advantage of the rules, takes advantage of our unique game day atmosphere here in the weather. So schematically, it's a no-brainer, and we'll just have to bring the right guy in.
And the coach also talked about a lot of recruits that are currently watching practice for the Huskers, and he says he hopes they're getting the right message.
I want people, if they're serious about looking at Nebraska, I want them to come watch us practice. You know, everybody's nice on Junior Day. Everybody's nice on, you know, official visits. Come see what people are like at practice. And I hope they'll come away with a couple things. Number one, you see a bunch of coaches who really demand but don't demean. We're going to coach hard. But, you know, my 9-year-old daughter's at practice sometimes. My father is a minister's at practice sometimes. My 12-year-old daughter's practice sometimes. My son's out there every day. Like, it's a highly demanding, accountable atmosphere, but it's never demeaning. And so I want them to see that. It can't be too far one way or the other. It can't be just roll the balls out and have fun. You don't get better, and it can't be disrespectful, right? So it's going to be that. Number two, the level of instruction. There's a lot of schools that have really great recruiters, but they don't have great, you know, those guys can't coach. A lot of schools have good coaches. We're trying to find the middle. So I want them to come see DeKeel coach. Yeah, he's a great recruiter, but he can really teach and instruct and just carry that on the line down all the coaches. So I want them to see that. I want them to see our precision, our attention to detail, right? I want them to see the atmosphere. I want them to see that there's no silos. I want them to see that everyone's speaking the same message, though with different words. You know, there's only one message here: player development, helping people get better, but people say it in different ways. So as they walk around practice and they see Kristen doing her thing, or Gus, or Dr. Stout from a mental performance standpoint, we're all engaged. And I want them to, one thing I always ask them is that, can you tell the difference between the starters and the walk-ons in terms of the way they're being coached? And people can't, and that's important to me. My job's not just to coach the players that I think are going to play. My job's to coach everybody. My job's to make everybody better. So I want them to come and see all that, and I want them to see us, you know, be in a highly, highly detailed, competitive environment. Still see guys having fun, right? Still see guys enjoying the competition. I want them to see Mudita. I want them to see guys celebrating when the guy at their position might make a play. You know, they're not mouthing off. They're not angry when a guy makes a play. They're celebrating and see the joy that we try to build in our locker room. So I think it's very important to come to practice and see that. And then our practices are pretty cool, man. You got former NFL players, former Husker greats. You got a bunch of high school coaches. I mean, some days you have the governor. Some days you have Tom Osborne. There's a lot of people here, and I think it sends a message how important football is at the University of Nebraska.
Yeah, we're hearing comments from Matt Rule as the Huskers prepare for their final week of spring football practice, heading into the Husker games coming up on Saturday, which brings us to our next point. And the coach has decided to have some live type of stuff go on Saturday, as the rosters are expected to be capped at around 105 for the upcoming season.
We have a bunch of guys that this could be their last time playing in that stadium. We have a bunch of guys that are fighting to make the 105. We have a bunch of guys who I have a bunch of guys that if they can't play here, they need some tape to go somewhere else. So, you know, I'm going to wait. I've waited till after the portal closed on that Saturday. Portal closes on Friday, so it won't affect. The guys that are kind of cemented in their spots, they won't play. Some guys they might, you know, ask to play or not. But those guys that are battling, you know, some are twos even, but they want to prove that they're a one. We have a bunch of guys. So we're going to do the Husker games. We're going to bring out a bunch of Husker greats. We're going to have a bunch of competitions like the Pro Bowl. But I'm going to put the ball down a little bit and play some live football. And no Big Ten Network. No. It's just if you love the walk-on program, and you love Husker football, and you love those kids that have, in the face of being told they're not going to make the 105, still did the Naturals this winter. I don't know if I could do that.
All right, so the Husker games coming up on this Saturday. Going to see some live action. Might be some of the last chances to see some of the guys down to the depth chart. As looks like we're going to be at a 105-player roster limit for next season. So a lot of these guys will have to move on after the spring games on Saturday.
Yeah, and don't expect like a Pro Bowl atmosphere where it's, where you're sitting back and having fun, man. I mean, if you're sitting like at 107 right now and, everything that I've been told from Matt Rule and this administration and everything that he said on the microphone, I bet every single kid in that locker room knows exactly what their number is, and knows what they have to strive and what the demands are to get to that 105 spot. So they're going to come out like their college careers depend on it. I mean, this is their livelihood. This is what they do. This is what they've always done since they've been dreaming of wearing the scarlet and cream on a Saturday in front of a sold-out Memorial Stadium. So they're going to come out and rock it. And it's going to be good live football. It'll be live contact and we'll see how the dust all settles and what that 105 looks like when it's all said and done. But commending Coach Rule for playing through this and realizing that this is going to be an opportunity to get kids some tape and get some future elsewhere. It's got the, whether it's the starting quarterback in Raiola or, the last person on the depth chart that's trying to be a polling guard and get his number called. He's treating all these kids the exact same way and giving the kids the best opportunity for some success. So you really got to tip your cap to what he's done and the adjustments he's made in his plans. And, live contact coming up on Saturday.
Again, 402-834-1330 is the telephone number. If you'd like to join us here today, something we've been talking about or something on your mind, either sports-related or not, let's chat about it here today on Huddle Up on Extreme Sports. If you want to drop us a message, you can on our social media sites. We're monitoring all those comments as well. So Husker games coming up on Saturday. Again, it's not going to be like our traditional red-white game that we have seen in the past number of years. Not going to be on TV on the Big Ten Network. It's going to be kind of a celebration of Husker sports this weekend, and now a little live action with the football team on Saturday. I think in soccer and volleyball, don't they have some it's going to be a big celebration for Husker sports is what it's going to be on Saturday, not your traditional red-white game setting that we have seen in the past number of years.
Yeah, a bunch of athletic departments getting involved. And like I said, I think, from the Husker fan perspective, if you bleed Husker red just like we all do here on the show, then you're probably going to want to bring the family out and see these guys in different kind of environments and see them cut loose a little bit. But like I said, in that is still a very competitive atmosphere on the depth chart, trying to get in that roster limit. So there'll be a little bit of a mix of everything. But I think we can all celebrate our love and our passion of Husker athletics. And Saturday's going to be a really good opportunity to do that.
One more swig.
Oh, well, we can take another gulp.
Another gulp of Roulade this morning. Be the last chance. Be the last chance to maybe drink her for a while.
Tastes good.
Yeah, we'll take a little break here, and then the guys will be back. I think he said in June. Guys will come back in the summer in June, so we might be able to drink a little bit more Roulade in June. Mm-hmm. And then we'll probably have to order in our year's supply of Roulade by definitely the end of July as we get ready for preseason camp in August. And then we tee things off against Cincinnati, so we're going to need our supply of Roulade probably shipped in to the Extreme Sports Studios probably sometime in July. So can you put that as a reminder on your calendar that we need to get the accounting department to ship in our Roulade for the year? Ship it in. We got to have it on hand.
If you don't have a cupboard full, ready to mix at any moment in time, you're not like me. But he's got a little gap here before his next media availability. Man, I'm thinking like after we get done with the Husker games, why not place a call? He's been on every other podcast on college football.
Yeah, he might join us.
He could join us.
Is this show elevated to that level that the coach would take time out and talk with me and you?
I think we could use our connections wisely, don't you?
What else does he have to do?
We got enough connections. We could eventually get there.
What else does he have to do?
It might be a slow build to eventually work our way up towards the top, but we could get there.
He's got to look for a rugby punter.
Yeah.
Well, we probably don't have any rugby punters on staff.
I'm not as fleet of foot as I used to be.
Do you like that? I'm not a firm believer. I know the advantages now of a rugby style punt.
Yeah.
But when we're doing games, broadcasting games, drives me crazy.
Because you think they're faking it.
Yeah, they think you're going to run.
Right.
And then they just kick the ball.
Away. No, you go back to the state championships last year in high school football, and how many teams use that to success. I know Sandy Creek didn't punt a whole lot in their march. They normally capped off all of their drives with touchdowns and tutties, but when they did, they would run the rugby style, and more often than not, Green would open up and they'd have first downs on it. But then they would kick it away, and how many teams don't even send anybody back anymore because they're so afraid of protecting the sticks, and then it goes for a huge net gain in terms of yardage. I think the advantages speak for themselves. I'm all about it.
I'll just get used to it.
I'm all about getting used to it. Yeah.
Let's get used to rugby style of kicking. So it's coming to Nebraska. Anyway, that's what's going on with the Husker football program. Closer to home, Hastings College, they wrapped up their spring workouts on Friday. They had a scrimmage at the Osborne Sports Complex. I attended that baby. Looked like the offense had the upper hand in the first part of the scrimmage. Looked like the defense came on and stuffed the offense in the second half of the scrimmage. So the coach was happy with what he saw out of the field on Friday. And he also talked about the offensive line. He says that things are gelling well in the offensive line as we get ready for another season.
I mean, that's one position, knock on wood, where we have a full two deep going through spring football, and a few guys that are still on the shelf. So like Brock Burrish, for instance, started at center for us last year, half through the first half of the season, and then had an injury and missed the second half of the season. And he's conditioning. He's been able to get out and run, but he isn't cleared for contact, so we haven't had him all spring. But the offensive line has been productive. We ended up moving Jaden Lagunas, who has been a 2-year starter at guard for us, into center to get our best 5 on the field, and he'll be a junior next year, and we'll see if he's a center or if he moves back to guard when Brock comes back. We're going to figure that out. There's going to be some pretty good competition, though. But the offensive line has been good. We've run the ball behind those guys. We haven't thrown the ball near as much as we've been used to, and when we have dropped back to pass, the tackles aren't near as used to setting deep as we have been in the past. It's a good problem. It's something that we can fix. We haven't been spending a whole lot of time this spring on working pass protection, and so we'll give up a little bit of pressure, but like I said, I think the payoff in the run game is worth it.
It's going to be some interesting. Now the Broncos are kind of retooling their offense. We finished 9th in the conference last year in points per game at 15.4 points per contest. We were 10th in the GPAC in total offense, averaging only 269 yards per game. We bring in a new offensive coordinator, James Bauer, out of Kansas Wesleyan, to take over as the offensive coordinator. Carson Kulacek is the quarterback right now for the Broncos. In fact, he was the only quarterback that played in the scrimmage on Friday. But we talked with the coach about Carson Kulacek.
He's had a good spring. He had a bit of a sophomore slump last year in the fall, but he's embraced the new offense, the new offensive coordinator, and has improved. And I think you're going to see that in the scrimmage. Jarrett Sinek is the other quarterback who I think is going to be in the picture and really challenge in the fall. I think it's going to be an intense competition for that starting quarterback spot. But Jarrett is a former Hastings High Tiger and spent 2 seasons in Lincoln with the Huskers, and then 2 seasons in Vermilion with the University of South Dakota there. And through all of that, he only had 2 seasons where he actually played enough to count. So he's got 2 seasons of eligibility left and 3 semesters left. So he's been with the team the whole winter and spring. He had a postseason surgery, so he has not done anything physically, hasn't been able to throw the ball, but he's been around the team and has got to know the guys, and the guys have gotten to know him, and he'll be clear this summer, and expect him to be fully go here in the fall. So again, I expect those guys to probably be out in front with the experience that both of those guys bring, the college football experience. It's going to be a great situation for our program to have a couple guys like that competing for that starting quarterback spot. And then we'll have some freshmen coming in. Tucker Sinek, obviously, here from Hastings High, who will be a true freshman coming in, and I think he's got a lot of talent. He obviously doesn't have the college football experience that the other guys have.
And we also talked about the running back position for the Broncos, and the coach admits they're a little thin back there.
Josh Ray, who started a year ago, he is the starting running back, continues to be, and he's had a good spring. He fits in well to our offense. He's kind of a slasher. He's not necessarily a home run threat, but he can find and get in that window quick and make a quick cut and a quick decision, and that's kind of what this offense is based on. And then behind him, Brecken Schluter, who will be a sophomore this next year, and Brady Lichtenberg, who will also be a sophomore this next year. Both those guys are still freshmen. They'll both be very active and hopefully productive in the scrimmage. But those three, and then we'll have several freshman running backs coming in, and we're still working on potentially a transfer running back as well. I think the right guy could come in and help us, somebody who maybe has a little more speed to give us a home run threat. But it'll be a running back by committee in this offense with how we want to run the ball. It's not going to be one running back carrying the ball 35 times a game. There'll have to be probably three guys that are rotating consistently and sharing those carries.
We're talking with Matt Franzen, the head football coach at Hastings College, as they wrapped up their spring workouts. Matt was also happy with the way his players have adapted to the new offensive scheme.
I would say our ability to try and maximize the talent that we have, and I suppose that's a credit to Coach Bauer, the new offensive coordinator. But when he interviewed, he said he wanted to build the offense around the players that we have, not force the players into a certain scheme that maybe doesn't fit. And Jake Bargan at tight end, and with what we're doing now, I wish we had him for 3 more years, because we're going to see. I think we're going to see a really nice special player out of Jake, and I mean we've known that he's a great young man, but he hasn't had the opportunity to make a lot of plays from that position. And he's going to be big in the run game, which you won't notice statistically, but he's going to get a lot of catches. He's going to have a lot of balls thrown to him. He's going to be the number one option in a lot of our pass game, and that's one thing from the spring that I think has emerged. And the other thing I think is I think the willingness of all of our offensive players to make some adjustments, make some changes. Some of the skill players, some of the receivers, to be willing to block first, knowing that the pass game is going to come their way then if the run game is working. Whereas in the past, those guys have kind of been used to, we're going to throw the ball first and we're going to go deep on the first play, and they're going to have a chance to make the play, which as a wide receiver, that's really exciting. This is not that offense, and so they've had to adjust accordingly, and quarterbacks as well. But Carson Kulachik said right away at the start of the last scrimmage, the first play was an inside counter play, and it went for about 25 yards. And he said, "Hey, that was kind of cool, not throwing the ball as far as I can the very first play. This is different." So, I mean, the guys are embracing it, but I think they're also seeing that this is a real chance for us to make some changes, but changes that are geared toward being very productive and obviously winning football games.
Again, the Broncos coming off of a 2-9 season. A year ago, 2-8 in the conference, looking for some good things. Spring football practice in the books. New offense, new offensive coordinator. The Broncos have worked with the past couple of weeks, and we'll see what happens here as they take their break, and they'll be back in a couple of months and get back on the field. We'll talk a little defense with the Broncos later on in the week here on Huddle Up. What's going on offensively with the Bronx?
Their first play from scrimmage was a counter trap.
Yeah, I think it was on Friday, too.
You mean they ran the ball?
Are you saying?
I'm saying run the damn ball. Let's go.
Yeah, I think
that just gets my the hairs on my arm just stand up when I hear counter trap on the first play from scrimmage and teams going to establish a run first mentality. I love it.
Yeah, I think they're going to be recommitted to the running game this year.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
New offensive coordinator, new ideas.
Music to my ears.
But to do that, you got to have an offensive line.
You do?
You got to have some running backs.
It's a better offensive scheme. Like, I think over time, run game's not sexy, right? Which is why you don't see it so much on the pro game anymore. I think it's not getting phased away by any stretch of the imagination. You look at the playoff teams that made deep runs, right? All great running backs. Saquon Barkley had probably the best year, would have had a record-breaking year, decided to sit out in that last game, was totally cool with that, but Eagles go on and they win a Super Bowl. A lot of that based on Saquon Barkley's ability on the ground, but it's just like what that run game does over time, physically beating up on your opponents and defensive line, and then they're just dead-ass tired in the second half, and you can start to open up your pass game a little bit. We mentioned getting the tight end more involved, on some drags and on some slant patterns, just getting them in some spacing, little dinks and dunks, not much. And that's not going to be much to look at, but over time, as that wears down that defense and you just get tired of having to bring down those big boys, then you can open up and you can take some more shots. So I still think that offensive mentality is a winning offensive mentality, and that sounds exciting. Like what he's talking about, getting the tight end more involved, getting the run game more involved, being a little bit more run first, pass second, run to open up the pass. Man, that's music to my ears offensively.
Yeah, instead of having 4 wideouts, they're going to go with a couple of tight ends, running back.
And it also it's a schematics based on what your depth chart looks like, and I think a lot of people try to spread and install a spread offense because that's sexy, that's flashy, those get the big chunk plays, those are your highlight reel plays. But if you don't have the Jimmies and Joes to run a scheme like that, you go back to the roots, man, and you go back to being a physically bruising team. And I think that team is more set up to, at least the roster that I saw last year, was more set up to be a ground and pound, grind it out, dink and dunk, nickel and dime your way down the field, put some drives together, chew off some clock.
And score.
You blinked a couple times, right? Like you and Jimmy were up in the booth and you guys were just casually chatting about the game, and next thing you know, the Broncos are punting again. And you're going 4 and out quick. Hell, we experienced that at Nebraska under a couple administrations where a team would drive down the field, they'd score on us, they'd be up 7-0, we'd get the football, and the first thing we do is throw 3 incomplete passes, and we're punting it and kicking it right back to them, and so chew a little clock, drive a little bit, be physical, and I think that offense is going to be geared towards success if what he's saying is what's going to be replicated and mirrored on college football Saturdays over at the Lloyd Wilson Field. I think we got some things to be excited for. Run the damn ball. Let's go. Let's go.
So anyway, that's the story at both Nebraska and at Hastings College. Again, we'll talk with Matt about the defense here when we get time throughout the week here on Huddle Up. But we'll bring you up to date on what's going on with the spring football practice. Huskers winding down this week. Hastings College has wrapped up their spring workouts. You're listening to Mike and Tyson here this morning. This is Huddle Up on Extreme Sports at 7:53.
It's time for a morning news update on Extreme Sports.
Starting off this morning with the news from the Vatican, as Pope Francis has passed away early this morning at the age of 88. He was the first pope from the Americas and the first non-European pope in over a millennium. His papacy, which began in 2013, was marked by a commitment to humility, social justice, and interfaith dialogue. Plans are, as of this morning at 7:54, that Governor Jim Pillen will be in town to present the city with an award from the Nebraska Department of Economic Development. The presentation begins at 9 a.m. at the Hastings College Morrison Reeves Science Center. Meanwhile, U.S. Senator Pete Ricketts has put on his public schedule 3 upcoming town hall events this week across Nebraska, including a town hall in Kearney. Senator Ricketts will give an update on his work in Washington, D.C., then will answer questions directly from Nebraskans. The town hall in Kearney takes place at the Eunice Conference Center South Crystal Ballroom and begins at 11 o'clock on Thursday. Not only was this weekend Easter weekend, but for Nebraska State Patrol, they were on the lookout for drug-impaired drivers due to April 20th falling on Easter Sunday. The Nebraska State Patrol joining a extra enforcement mobilization this past weekend, being on the lookout for drug-impaired driving activity. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration reports the prevalence of drug-impaired driving has increased across the country, and in Nebraska specifically, troopers have made an average of 80 arrests for driving under the influence of drugs in the last 3 years. And the National Weather Service office in Omaha has completed their damage assessment survey from this weekend, announcing that the tornado that touched down just north of Omaha near Bennington Thursday night was rated as an F3. Highest rated of the 6 tornadoes that touched down in eastern Nebraska and western Iowa with speeds of up to 140 miles per hour. The tornado damaged several homes and other buildings. 5 minutes till. Let's head over to the East Side Studios. Mike, what's the haps in sports?
Well, the Nebraska baseball team won their series against Northwestern this weekend. Huskers lost the first game on Friday night 9-7, but swept a doubleheader on Saturday 14-4 and 5-2. Nebraska now 19-21 in the season, 7-11 in the conference. They'll play host to Kansas on Tuesday. First pitch will be at 6. The Nebraska softball team split their short 2-game series against Indiana this weekend. The Hoosiers won 6-2 on Friday before the Huskers came back to pick up a 12-4 win on Saturday. Nebraska is now 33-11. They're 12-4 in the conference. They'll play a 3-game series at Washington coming up this weekend. Hastings College baseball team dropped a pair of games to Mount Marty on Friday. Broncos now 8-30 on the season, 5-19 in the conference. They'll play a 4-game series at Doane coming up this weekend. Hastings College softball team had the weekend off. They're getting ready to play a doubleheader at Midland on Wednesday. Action gets underway at 4 o'clock on the Wednesday afternoon up in Fremont. The GPAC Men's Golf Championship going to be played this week at the Beatrice Country Club. Action gets underway at 8:30 this morning. High school baseball action coming up today. Hastings High will host Grand Island out of Duncan Field. Tigers are 9-6 on the season after Saturday's 13-0 win over Blair. Carlos Jimenez threw a 5-inning no-hitter for the Tigers. He struck out 5 and walked 1. Elliott Sidlow had an inside-the-park home run. Grand Island is 10-5 on the season after sweeping a pair of games from North Platte on Friday, 9-7 and 12-3. Today's game gets underway at 4:30. Pre-game coverage begins at 4:15 on Extreme Sports. And the Hastings High soccer teams will play in the Eastern Midlands Conference Tournament today. The girls will play at Elkhorn North beginning at 5:30. The boys will host Gretna East beginning at 5 out at Hastings College. That's a check in your sports headlines at 7:57.
It's time for a morning weather update on Extreme Sports with Chief Meteorologist Tim Jones.
As we head back to work and school, it'll be sunny as we get through the morning and the afternoon hours, but the winds will increase and the temperatures will rebound. Hey, everybody, Tim Jones, Nebraska Weather TV. 78's the high today. We'll have the winds from light and variable this morning. Increase out of the south-southwest to 10 to 15 with gusts in the mid-20s. Overnight tonight, low of 48, a chance of showers and thunderstorms. Tuesday, mostly sunny, a high of 75. Chances of showers and thunderstorms Tuesday night to Wednesday with the high of 73.
South winds this morning at 5 miles per hour. Temp stands at 37 in Hastings at Extreme Sports.
Accessible and affordable holistic care is just around the corner at Bamboo Spa and Wellness Center. Located at 208 South Burlington Avenue, Suite 101 in Hastings. At Bamboo Spa, we offer a range of therapies to help you unwind and recharge. Experience soothing massages, rejuvenating head spa scalp treatments, and our Advanced Glow 2 facials. Discover the healing power of ozone therapy and frequency healing. Become a member for exclusive 24-hour access to our therapeutic amenities, including the infrared sauna, hydro massage, and cryo lounge. Members enjoy 20% off all services and 10% off products in our non-toxic retail shop. Visit our Facebook page to learn more and book your appointment today. Bamboo Spa and Wellness Center, truly holistic care, designed for you.
Connet Auto Care is the trusted name in automotive repair and maintenance services in Hastings. We're a gold-certified Napa Auto Care Center. Our ASE-certified technicians have the Blue Seal of Excellence, receive continuous training, and are committed to providing the best service your vehicle can get. Whether it's preventative maintenance, major repairs, or just an oil change, Connet Auto Care is here for you.
Get ready, race fans. Cam Raceway is teaming up with Extreme Sports for an electrifying season of high-speed, dirt-slinging, adrenaline-pumping action. Every race night, we're bringing you live video coverage straight from the track, so you won't miss a single lap, pass, or photo finish. From non-wing warriors to cage karts, flat karts, and the A-class wing beasts, we've got it all. There's nothing like the roar of the engines, the smell of burning rubber, and the rush of dirt flying action right in front of you. So get to the track and experience it live. But if you can't make it, don't sweat. Extreme Sports has you covered. Buckle up, because this season is going to be fast, fierce, and unforgettable. Make sure you like and follow Extreme Sports on Facebook to get all the latest updates, and we will see you at the track.
All right, Mike Wills, Heinzen and Bronick, huddle up on Extreme Sports as we start another work week together here. Made it to the 8 o'clock hour on this 21st day of April. Missed Weed Day yesterday.
Yeah.
April 20th.
Yeah, I was too busy celebrating Easter to really care.
Yeah. I was in Vegas. I was in Vegas one year for Weed Day.
Uh-huh.
Probably won't be going back anytime soon in April on Weed Day. No, Vegas is weird enough.
Right.
Vegas is weird enough. I don't need everybody walking around smoking weed all day long and all night long on April the 20th. I mean, there was just a big old smoke haze.
Get a little contact high, did you?
Over Las Vegas on April 20th. I mean, you're not supposed to be smoking it on the streets, but everybody was. Everybody was.
It's Vegas.
It's Vegas.
What are they going to do?
That was the day I was going down the escalator eating gummy bears. I was walking. Yeah, I was.
I'm so hungry. Why am I so hungry all of a sudden?
No. I picked up some gummy bears at this store.
Okay.
Down the street, it was a sweet shop.
A reputable sweet shop?
Yeah, a reputable sweet shop. So I was eating these gummy bears going down the escalator, and someone tapped me on my shoulder and says, "Hey, are those the good gummy bears?" I said, "Yeah, they're not too bad." Yeah, they're not too bad. And my wife kind of pokes me, and she says, "That's not what they were asking.
It's Weed Day.
It's Weed Day. They want to know if those are the weed gummy bears." No, I said, "No, they're not too bad."
You hope not. An hour later, you're, oh my God, pass me the Cheetos.
No, they were legit gummy bears.
Legitimately Harborough or whatever the brand is.
Yeah, my wife.
Oh, you.
Gives me an elbow to the midsection. He says, "That's not what they're asking."
A groan and an elbow.
That's not what they're asking. They want to know if those are the marijuana ones.
Least.
No, I'm not eating those.
You're like, I hope not, because I had 7 of them.
Yeah. Well, I did. I ate the whole bag. I ate the whole bag of gummy worms.
That's awesome.
Then I had another problem.
Uh-oh.
Well, gummy worms and gummy bears, if you eat a whole bag,
you get thirsty.
Your system goes into bad stages. I mean, you got to go to the bathroom a lot.
Oh, I just thought you were thirsty and needed to get some more beer.
No, I probably needed that, too. Anyway, I didn't celebrate April 20th this year.
No,
so.
Nope. I had ham and potatoes and,
green beans.
Mm-hmm.
Green beans. So anyway, we got a lot going on this week. It's going to be the beginning of Cam Raceway that we have partnered with for the 2025 racing season. They'll get their season officially underway on Friday, so they're going to be talking about that. We'll try to get a couple of folks on hand and talk about the Cam Raceway this week here on the show. Of course, Huskers heading down to their final days of spring football practice. I'm sure we'll hear a lot about that and what's in store for some of those guys that we're talking about this morning down bubbling around the 105-player roster limit. So they're going to have to get on the field somehow and maybe make a move up the depth chart a little bit.
Big week for Hastings College softball as they try to play their way into the GPAC tournament, sitting tied for 8th. At current standing, so you hope for a split on the road to Midland, and then those Doane games become really big Saturday. I'm expecting, like again, if we're throwing down a split against Midland and come into Doane, and those games are for a playoff spot, we expect a pretty big audience for our Saturday afternoon doubleheader.
Action gets underway at 1 on Saturday out at the Smith Complex. We'll have them here on Extreme Sports. High school baseball today. Hastings in Grand Island gets underway at 4:15 with a pregame show this afternoon, 4:30 for the first pitch. So my plate is empty. My plate is empty.
Go Blues tonight.
Oh, that's right. You got hockey.
Split the series against the Jets. 6:30 start on ESPN2.
Boy, if they go down 2-0.
Yeah.
You might not be here tomorrow.
I told you on Friday, I'm going into this playoffs just happy to be here. And normally I don't have that mentality. If you're in the playoffs, I've always said, might as well win the damn thing.
Yep.
But the proof's in the pudding. I mean, this Winnipeg team that the Blues are going up against in all facets. Goaltending with Connor Hellebuck, and defensively, they're just so sound mechanically. And St. Louis was exposed a little bit of that in the third quarter, or third period, I should say. Really wasn't clean in terms of being a team that's going to race with the top seed. And the Jets are a top seed for a reason, and they flexed a little bit Saturday in the third period. Blues ran out of legs, and they were able to take advantage of that and score an empty netter late and cap that baby off in a 5-3 victory. But, yeah, I mean, the way this season started, just to make yourself eligible to play some bonus hockey here in April has been a huge victory for the Blues. I think it's a gigantic step for a team that was supposed to be in rebuild mode. So I'm happy. I'm not going to be like one of those disappointed, cussing out the coach or the schemes. We'll see how the game goes, but yeah, I mean, right now it's just sort of a celebration of the fact that we got to the postseason, which was not in the cards at the beginning of the year. So
wait a minute, I'm sorry I brought it up.
Yeah, we can extend it a little bit and have some Blues talk tomorrow. I can keep this conversation rolling for a while.
Oh, geez. Well, good luck to your Blues tonight.
I appreciate that, sir.
Have yourself a great day. We'll be back again tomorrow morning at 7 here on Extreme Sports.
You've been listening to Huddle Up on Extreme Sports, Central Nebraska's new home for sports. Join us every weekday morning from 7 until 8 on Extreme Sports.